The autumn sun warms my face as I walk toward my mailbox, golden light filtering through maple leaves that dance in the October breeze. My hand trembles slightly as I pull out my phone, tapping the notification that's been burning in my pocket all morning. The university seal appears, followed by formal text that blurs before my eyes. Congratulations, Ella Whitmore. Based on your exemplary academic record, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as valedictorian. My knees weaken. 4 years of perfect grades flash before me: the all-night study sessions, the shifts at the campus bookstore, the weekends spent writing papers while friends went to football games. All those moments when I chose work over rest because my parents wouldn't cover what my partial scholarship didn't. 1 BS. And now this. Before I can think better of it, my finger hovers over my parents' contact. Despite everything, despite the years of disappointments, my heart pounds with renewed hope. They have to care about this. They have to. The phone rings 4 times before clicking to voicemail. My mother's cheerful voice plays the familiar greeting. You've reached Robert and Linda Whitmore. We can't come to the phone right now. I lower myself onto the bench outside my apartment building, gaze drifting to the wall visible through my open door. Photos I've carefully framed hang in a neat row: my high school honors ceremony with 2 conspicuously empty chairs in the family section, my college acceptance letter that I celebrated with my roommate instead of my parents, my sophomore year journalism award ceremony, where Professor Jenkins sat where my father should have been. My mind drifts back to 6 years ago. I stood on stage at 17, the heavy academic decathlon state champion medal hanging around my neck. My eyes scanned the audience seats where my parents promised they'd sit. Front row, center section. The plastic chairs remained empty throughout the entire ceremony. Principal Garfield's hand on my shoulder felt like pity as I accepted the medal alone. The following weekend, I overheard my mother on the phone with my aunt. Madison was just wonderful in the junior varsity exhibition. You should have seen how proudly she waved those pom-poms. Robert recorded the whole thing. Their voices carried from downstairs, bright with enthusiasm they never showed for my achievements. While they drove Madison to dance competitions across 3 states, I sat alone at our kitchen table, surrounded by college brochures, scholarship applications, and financial aid forms. My careful handwriting filled page after page, no parent's signature in the spots marked guardian. Now, I pull myself up from the bench and walk to my desk. My calligraphy pens, a splurge from my first bookstore paycheck, lie in their wooden case. I select the finest nib, dip it in ink the color of midnight, and begin addressing formal invitations on thick cream paper. The graduation ceremony details flow from my pen in elegant curves and precise lines. 2 hours later, my roommate is driving my ancient Honda to my parents' suburb, invitation in hand. My mother answers the door in workout clothes, surprise crossing her features before she calls for my father. Ella, this is unexpected, she says, voice rising at the end like a question. I hold out the invitation, the envelope weighty in my palm. I wanted to deliver this personally. I'm valedictorian. My father appears behind her, half listening as he checks his watch. That's wonderful, honey. The ceremony is next month, I continue, my voice steadier than I expect. There's a special section reserved for valedictorian families. Thanks for watching. They exchange glances before my mother takes the envelope, nodding. Of course we'll be there. We wouldn't miss it, she says with the casual confidence of someone making promises they don't value. I swallow hard, the words I've rehearsed finally breaking free. It would mean everything to have you there. I've earned this moment. My father nods distractedly, already pulling out his phone. Let me check something. His fingers move quickly over the screen. Madison has a college recruitment weekend for cheer around then. What were the dates again? They exchange another glance, a silent communication perfected over years. My mother's eyes shift back to me with practiced brightness. We'll make it work, sweetie. From the doorway to the kitchen, I sense movement. Hannah, my roommate since freshman year, watches the familiar scene unfold. She drove me here after I admitted my hands were shaking too badly to manage the steering wheel alone. In her eyes, I see recognition of a pattern I still can't fully acknowledge, the dance of hope and disappointment I've performed since childhood. I straighten my shoulders, clutching my car keys tightly enough to leave indentations on my palm. This graduation, this speech, my final attempt to win their meaningful attention. After this, I'll be gone to New York, to graduate school, to a life where I won't need to beg for the recognition I've earned. But not yet. Not quite yet. 3 days before graduation, My phone vibrates against my desk. Dad's name appears on the screen, sending a ridiculous flutter of hope through my chest. It's been 2 weeks since I delivered their invitation. "Hey, Dad," I answer, keeping my voice deliberately casual. "Ella," he says, his tone flat. "Listen, your mother and I have been talking." I sink onto my bed, fingers tightening around the phone. Something in his voice makes my stomach twist. "We've been so busy with Madison's college visits," he continues, words flowing faster. "All these cheer recruitment weekends, you know how it is. Honestly, we're just too tired to make the trip." My body slides down until I'm sitting on the floor, back pressed against the wall. My lips form words without my brain's involvement. I understand. "That's my girl, always so reasonable." Relief colors his voice. "We'll catch the live stream. Promise." After hanging up, I remain motionless, nodding mechanically as if he can still see me. The next morning, bleary from another sleepless night, I scroll through Instagram while waiting for coffee to brew. A splash of color catches my attention. Mom's account rarely updates, but there's a new post from yesterday. The timestamp makes me freeze. 2:13 p.m. Mom and Madison, holding champagne flutes aloft, identical smiles beneath identical sunglasses. The caption reads, "Much needed mother-daughter spa day. Treat yourself." I swipe to the next photo. Dad joining them at an upscale restaurant downtown, Madison between them, all three laughing. Timestamp, 5:47 p.m. During his call. Not before, not after. This isn't about being tired. It's a choice, the same one they've always made. Later, I find myself in the university library bathroom, locked in the furthest stall, phone in my trembling hands. Years of family photos fill my screen as I scroll backward through time. The pattern emerges with painful clarity. In every image, Madison stands centered, my parents leaning toward her like plants seeking sunlight. I exist at the edges when I appear at all, the half-face behind a shoulder, the blur of movement, often the one taking the photo. I keep scrolling, methodically noting dates. My high school graduation. Parents absent due to Madison's regional cheer competition. My journalism award. Parents visiting Madison at cheer camp. My 18th birthday. Parents at Madison's summer showcase. The bathroom door creaks open. "Ella?" Daniel's voice echoes against the tile. "Hannah said you might be in here." "Women's restroom," I call back, voice steadier than I feel. "Nobody else is here. Can I come in?" When I don't answer, his footsteps approach my stall. Through the gap, I see him slide down to sit on the floor, back against the opposite wall. "I did some research," he says quietly. 11 Instagram posts. Your parents celebrated 11 of Madison's achievements on days you had comparable ones they missed. I unlock the stall door with numb fingers. Daniel looks up, his expression gentle but unflinching. "They've never seen you clearly, Ella," he says. "It's not because you weren't worth seeing." The words land like a physical blow. Truth spoken aloud transforms from suspicion to reality. Walking across campus later, Daniel beside me, I voice the question that's been circling my mind. What happens if I just accept it again? Keep the peace? "You preserve the illusion of family harmony," he answers, "and lose another piece of yourself." But if I challenge them now, my voice catches. I risk losing what little connection we have. Hannah meets us at the coffee shop, sliding into the booth with her usual directness. "You're spiraling again." "What's the point of accomplishing anything if the people who should care most don't notice?" I ask, stirring my untouched coffee. She places her hand over mine, stilling the anxious movement. "Your graduate school scholarship depends on graduating with honors. That journalism program in New York is your ticket out. This is your last chance to speak your truth before leaving their orbit completely." That evening, Daniel arrives at my door carrying 2 cardboard boxes. "Found these at your parents' house last time I helped you move stuff. You never unpacked them." Inside, family albums from my childhood. I spread them across my floor, tracking the visual evidence of my gradual erasure. In the earliest photos, before Madison was born, I occupied the center of every frame, my parents' arms wrapped securely around me. After her birth, the shift subtle at first, then unmistakable as I was edged toward the margins, eventually disappearing altogether. As I flipped through those old albums that night, seeing how things changed after Madison came along, I faced a choice that many of you might recognize. Do I give my graduation speech as written, safe, grateful, Forgettable, or do I finally speak the truth about invisibility in my own family? Keeping the peace seemed easier, but at what point does silence become a form of self-betrayal? The morning of my graduation breaks with cruel perfection, sunlight streaming through my dorm window, highlighting the cap and gown hanging on my closet door. My phone chimes with a notification, the sound now triggering an instinctive tightening in my chest. I tap the screen with resignation. My parents' Instagram post appears. So proud of Madison securing that prestigious summer internship at Coastal Marketing. Our girl continues to amaze us. Number proud parents, number future leader. Posted 30 minutes ago. On my graduation morning. The text from mom arrives as I'm brushing my teeth. Toothpaste foam bitter on my tongue. We'll watch the livestream if we can. Send us photos. If they can. As if my graduation competes with grocery shopping or a casual lunch, I spit into the sink, watching the white foam spiral down the drain like my expectations. Hannah appears in the bathroom doorway, already dressed in her graduation gown. Your sister's calling, she says, holding out my phone like it might bite her. I wipe my mouth and take the call, pressing the speaker button as I continue getting ready. Ella! I'm trying to decide which outfit looks best in photos. Madison's voice fills the small bathroom. The coral sundress or the white one with the belt. I need to look perfect for my Instagram post about your thing. Your thing. Hannah mouths silently, exchanging a knowing glance with Daniel, who appears behind her with coffee. The coral. I answer mechanically. Madison, I have to finish getting. Perfect. That's what I was thinking too. I'm going to tag it number proud sister. Should I mention you're validating or whatever it's called? Valedictorian, I correct, my voice tight. Right, that. Okay, gotta run. The call ends. Minutes later, Dad's text arrives. Congrats on being valedictorian. Your mother and I are proud. He couldn't even spell it correctly. Daniel hands me the coffee, his fingers lingering against mine. You okay? I nod, but we both know it's a lie. The truth lives in the shadows under my eyes. Evidence of another sleepless night. 3 pounds lost this month alone. The new stutter that emerges whenever family discussions arise, something my body created when my mind couldn't process any more disappointment. Did you pick up my graduation announcement? I ask, hating the way my tongue betrays me. Yesterday, Daniel confirms. And I added the extra 50 copies you ordered, though I still don't understand why. Because they promised to help with expenses, I say, voice sharper than intended, just like they promised to help with tuition, with books, with housing. Each broken promise stacks like bricks on my shoulders. I picked up an extra shift at the bookstore to cover it. Hannah frowns. That's your 3rd extra shift this week. When did you sleep? I gesture toward my desk, where 2 versions of my valedictorian speech sit side by side, between drafts. The safe version thanks the university, mentions supportive family in generic terms, offers inspirational platitudes about future success. The honest version, the one I revise at 3 a.m. when truth feels less dangerous, speaks of invisibility, of achievement as desperate currency, of learning self-worth when external validation never comes. Dr. Mercer, my academic advisor, stopped me after our final meeting last week. You seem different, she said, her eyes searching mine. My office is always open, even after graduation. I thanked her politely and hurried away before she could see the tears threatening. Another offer of support I didn't know how to accept. 2 nights ago, Daniel found me asleep at a library table, surrounded by discarded speech drafts. Each version more honest than the last, each one more likely to burn bridges I'm not sure I can afford to lose. You don't have to protect them anymore, he whispered as he gathered the papers, thinking I was still asleep. They haven't earned it. The morning passes in a blur of bobby pins and uncomfortable shoes. Hannah appears at my side as I adjust my cap, holding a small velvet box. I was going to save this for after, she says, opening it to reveal a delicate silver pendant. But I think you need it now. The pendant gleams in the morning light, words engraved in flowing script. Your truth matters. Tears blur my vision as Hannah fastens it around my neck. First graduation gift? I manage, touching it gently. Just so you know, Hannah adds with a sudden grin, I bought balcony tickets to this speech, front row for whatever version you decide to give. We laugh, the sound strange and light in a room that's held so much heaviness. In the preparation room before the ceremony, I sit alone, both speeches laid out before me. The safe version, neat, pristine, inoffensive. The honest version, crossed out, rewritten, coffee-stained, alive with truth. Daniel slips in, closing the door quietly behind him. Which version are you giving today? I stare at the papers, at 4 years of perfect grades and empty seats. I've spent my whole life being the agreeable daughter who never caused waves. I say slowly, what has it gotten me? Daniel doesn't answer. Instead, he places my phone beside the speeches, open to my parents' latest post-champagne glasses raised at a luxury spa, time-stamped an hour ago. Just relaxing before watching our girl's big moment on live stream, number self-care. Something shifts inside me, tectonic plates realigning. I pick up the safe speech and tear it cleanly in half, the sound sharp and final in the quiet room. I meet my reflection in the mirror, surprised to find my gaze steady, my voice clear and stutter-free for the first time in weeks. They can ignore me, but they can't make me invisible to myself anymore. Outside, Hannah has worked miracles. Mrs. Polanski and Mr. Winters, elderly neighbors from my hometown who watched me grow up, sit proudly in the family section. They wave when they spot me peeking through the curtain. Daniel moves efficiently through the auditorium, checking camera angles, ensuring the live stream captures not just the podium but the reserved family seats, 3 chairs marked with a prominent Whitmore family sign, painfully empty under the bright lights. Professor Jenkins, who became my mentor after I took her investigative journalism course, quietly moves her husband and daughter to make room in the special faculty section, leaving an open spot beside her with my name. The contrast strikes me like physical pain, strangers and chosen family filling spaces. My biological family left empty, their absence more present than they've ever been. My hand finds the honest speech tucked inside my graduation robe, steadier than it's been in weeks. 4 years of documented incidents rest in a folder in my bag, screenshots, time-stamped absences, a pattern of neglect made undeniable through simple documentation. As my name is announced, I rise, the pendant warm against my skin. The camera pans across the audience, lingering meaningfully on 3 prominently empty chairs, the Whitmore family sign clearly visible to anyone watching the live stream. I walk toward the podium, toward truth, toward whatever comes after. The university auditorium vibrates with anticipation as I approach the podium. Each step feels like a declaration of war against years of invisibility. My graduation robe, heavy with honors cords, swishes against my legs as I walk. The stage lights warm my face, but my spine remains ice-cold with determination. I place my speech on the wooden podium, its surface polished to a mirror shine. My gaze sweeps across the sea of faces before settling deliberately on the camera positioned at the back of the hall. The red recording light blinks steadily, my direct line to the family who couldn't be bothered to attend. Distinguished faculty, honored guests, and fellow graduates. I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the microphone. The formality establishes my authority, sets the tone for what's to come. I acknowledge the university president by name, thank the academic board individually, professional, measured, deliberate. The audience settles into a silence so complete I can hear the air conditioning humming overhead. They sense something different in my tone. This isn't the typical grateful platitudes of a valedictorian speech. The expressions in the front rows shift from polite attention to genuine curiosity. I take a deep breath. Today, I want to talk about what it means to be invisible in plain sight. My phone vibrates against the podium halfway through my speech. The screen lights up with my mother's name. I glance down at her message. Couldn't you just thank us like normal graduates do? Without hesitation, I lift my phone, display the message to the audience. This is what I received instead of their presence today. My voice doesn't waver. Not congratulations. Not pride, but a request to pretend everything is normal. A murmur ripples through the crowd. In the family section, Mrs. Fitzgerald and Mr. Donnelly, elderly neighbors from my hometown, who drove 3 hours to be here, nod in solemn recognition. They've witnessed this pattern for years. The projector screen behind me flickers with a notification. Someone in the audience has shared Madison's defensive Instagram comment posted seconds ago. My sister always had to make everything about her. Some of us have actual commitments. I turn to look at it, then back to the audience. When you speak your truth, those who fear it will try to silence you. They'll reframe your honesty as attention-seeking. They'll position their choices as more important than your pain. I pause, letting the words sink in. But their reaction doesn't invalidate your experience. It confirms it. The silence deepens as I grip the edges of the podium, my knuckles whitening slightly. I look directly at those empty seats in the front row, the placard with Whitmore family still taped in place. As I stand at this podium, looking at those empty seats that represent a lifetime of absences, I wonder, is forgiveness possible without acknowledgement of harm? Can family bonds heal if only one person is doing the work of repair? From the corner of my eye, I spot Hannah standing at the back of the auditorium, her phone held steady as she live streams. Her free hand forms a small thumbs up. Beside her, Daniel angles his camera to capture both my speech and the conspicuously vacant family section. They're documenting everything, ensuring my truth can't be rewritten later. Professor Jenkins sits in the front row where faculty members gather. When my voice catches slightly on the word family, she gives me an almost imperceptible nod. The corner of her mouth lifts in encouragement, the same expression she wore when I submitted my first article for the university paper Belief in My Voice when I struggled to believe in it myself. Their strategic positions throughout the auditorium create a net of support. No angle of this moment will go unrecorded, no reaction uncaptured. This isn't just a speech, it's testimony. As I conclude, the university president approaches the podium. His handshake is firm, his voice carrying clearly into the microphone. Miss. Whitmore's courage today reminds us that education isn't just about academic excellence, but about finding and speaking our truths, however difficult. He turns to face me directly. Thank you for that lesson. The applause thunders through the hall as I exit the stage, diploma case clutched against my chest like a shield. My phone buzzes again, before I've even reached the reception area. Madison's name appears on screen, not our parents'. Her voice sounds different when I answer, less certain, missing its usual edge of superiority. Ella. She says, I saw your speech. Mom and Dad aren't saying anything, but their friends are texting them non-stop. I remain silent, letting her fill the space. I'm driving to campus, she continues, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. Alone. Can we talk? Face to face? As I consider her request, notifications flood my phone. Mrs. Baxter, who taught us both piano for years, Mr. Collins from the neighborhood association, even my mother's oldest friend from college, all with variations of the same message. We always saw you, Ella. We're sorry no one said anything sooner. The fortress my parents built around their behavior is showing its first cracks. And now Madison wants to meet without them. Yes, I tell her, my voice steady. I think it's time we talked. Madison arrives at my dorm room 2 hours after the ceremony, her cheerleading jacket wrapped tight around her shoulders despite the June heat. Her knuckles rap against my door with the precise rhythm of someone who rehearsed their entrance. You've embarrassed the entire family, she announces before I can speak. Her voice carries the practiced indignation of our mother's fundraising committee tone. Dad hasn't stopped pacing since your speech hit social media. I step aside to let her enter, noticing how her eyes dart to her phone, where notifications stack like building blocks. 3 missed calls from Mom and Dad flash across her screen. They sent you to clean up their mess? I ask, closing the door behind her. Madison tosses her hair back, the same gesture she's used since we were children playing in the sprinklers of our backyard. They thought you might listen to me since we're sisters. Her voice softens artificially. Look, they'll help with your graduate school expenses if you just post a public apology. Say it was stress or something. When I don't immediately respond, she sighs dramatically. You've always been jealous of me, but you'd never admit it. That's what this whole speech was about. Her final card lands with practiced precision. If you don't make this right, they'll cut ties completely. Is that what you want? To have no family at all? I walk to my desk without answering, slide open the bottom drawer, and lift out a leather-bound journal. The spine cracks slightly as I open it, pages worn from years of careful documentation. This might interest you, I say, placing it in her hands. Madison's expression shifts from confusion to shock as she flips through the meticulously organized pages. Each entry features a date, event title, and check marks under parents attended columns. What is this? Can I know? She whispers, though the answer is clear on the page. 4 years of high school events. I explain calmly. Mine, 42 total. Parents attended 9. Yours, 41 events. Parents attended 39. So. Her fingers trace the neat columns, landing on handwritten excuses beside each of my empty attendance boxes. Too tired. Work emergency. Your sister needs us more tonight. There are journals for each year of college, too, I add, nodding toward the stack on my shelf. Madison's mouth opens and closes without sound. She flips faster through the pages, as if searching for evidence that might contradict the pattern revealed in black and white. This isn't about jealousy, I tell her, my voice steadier than I expected. It's about being treated like I matter, too. I pull a letter from beneath my cap and gown hanging on my closet door. The graduate school in New York already offered me a full scholarship based on my academic record. I don't need their money. The words feel like freedom as they leave my mouth. And I don't need their approval anymore. Something shifts in Madison's eyes. For the first time, she looks at me without the shield of competition between us. I never knew you kept track, she says quietly. You never had to. The sun sinks lower outside my window, casting long shadows across the room when I make an unexpected offer. Daniel and Hannah are meeting me for dinner at Riverview in an hour. You should come. Madison hesitates, then nods. An hour later, we sit at a table overlooking the river. Daniel raises his water glass in a toast to my speech, his eyes warm with pride. Hannah passes fresh bread while describing a particularly moving moment from my address, her hands animated as she speaks. The part about finding your voice when others try to silence it? People were crying, Maddie. Your sister brought down the house. Madison watches our interactions like she's studying a foreign language. She barely touches her salmon as conversation flows around her, each comment revealing another piece of my life she knows nothing about. Remember when Professor Jenkins nominated you for that investigative journalism award last fall? Daniel asks, his hand resting comfortably on mine. Or the time you pulled 3 all-nighters to cover that corruption story for the university paper? Hannah adds, the dean personally called to congratulate you. With each story, Madison grows quieter. I catch her watching me laugh at Daniel's impression of my nervous pre-speech pacing. She studies how naturally Hannah finishes my sentences when I describe my upcoming move to New York. I never realized how little we knew about your life, Madison finally says, her voice barely audible above the restaurant noise. The admission hangs between us until her phone rings. She glances at the screen, then back at me before answering. Hi, Mom, she says, her eyes never leaving mine. A pause, then. No, I'm with Ella right now. Another pause. Actually, Mom, I think you need to listen to me for once. Her voice strengthens. Everything she said in that speech was true. I've seen the proof. The surprise on my face must be evident because Madison gives me a small, uncertain smile as she continues defending me to our mother. When she hangs up, the table falls silent. I feel neither triumph nor bitterness, only the calm acceptance of a truth finally acknowledged. They want a family meeting tomorrow, Madison says, setting down her phone. Dad sounded serious. She hesitates before asking, could I stay with you tonight? There's some stuff about being the golden child that isn't as golden as you might think. Later, as I prepare for tomorrow's confrontation, I carefully place my graduation honor cords on the table beside the journal's symbols of my achievement alongside evidence of their neglect. Tomorrow will bring consequences, but for the first time, I face my family without needing their validation to feel whole. Whatever bridges burn or heal in the morning, tonight I sleep soundly in the knowledge that my truth has finally been heard. The autumn sun filters through my window in a familiar dance of light, but everything else has changed. 3 months in New York, and my walls tell a new story. Instead of empty chairs and photographs, framed journalism pieces from the Metro Journal fill the spaces. My graduation photos show Hannah and Daniel flanking me, Professor Jenkins beaming from the side. I straighten my blouse, preparing for my first day as a junior writer. My phone rings, not my parents, but a therapy podcast host. We're recording in 3 minutes, Miss Whitmore, she says. I settle into my desk chair, notes spread before me. When the host asks about family estrangement, my voice remains steady, without the stutter that plagued me for years. Healing began when I stopped waiting for recognition and learned to see myself. I explain, the words flowing easily now. The absence of validation doesn't mean absence of value. After the interview, I check my email. The subject line makes my heart skip. Speaker invitation, Truth and Personal Narrative Symposium. My alma mater wants me to deliver the keynote address. 6 months ago, this invitation would have triggered frantic calls to my parents, desperate pleas for attendance. Today, I click accept without hesitation, marking the date in my meticulously kept calendar, now filled with professional goals rather than family disappointments. I run my fingers over the calendar squares. No more red X's marking parental absences. No more holding my breath waiting for maybe promises to materialize. The doorbell chimes that evening. Hannah stands in the hallway, overnight bag slung over her shoulder, Daniel behind her carrying a bottle of champagne. Surprise visit! Daniel transferred to NYU last week. Hannah announces, pulling me into a hug. We couldn't wait to celebrate your first Metro byline. We gather around my small kitchen table, 3 glasses catching the light. Hannah raises hers high. To seeing yourself clearly even when others don't. Daniel nods, adding, to your brave new chapter. I lift my glass, throat tight with unexpected emotion, and to building a family of choice when the family of origin fails. The glasses clink, a clearer sound than any validation I had sought for 23 years. 3 days later, a package arrives. Inside, a letter in my father's angular handwriting. I abandoned my own writing dreams at your age. He writes, watching you succeed triggered regrets I never acknowledged. That doesn't excuse my absence, but might explain it. A second envelope contains childhood photos I'd never seen me at 5, receiving a school award, at 7, displaying a story I'd written. My mother's note reads simply, I kept these hidden. I'm sorry. Madison's text arrives while I'm processing these offerings. Professor liked my essay on family dynamics. I cited your graduation speech. Weird, right? Talking soon? Our relationship isn't close but honest now. No longer defined by competition neither of us created. As I placed my father's letter in my desk drawer, neither rejecting nor embracing it, I wondered what true reconciliation requires. Is acknowledging past harm enough, or must there be consistent action to repair what was broken? And at what point do we accept that some relationships will never be what we needed them to be? That evening, I meet with journalism students I've begun mentoring. When Sophia shares her fear of writing about her difficult relationship with her grandmother, I recognize myself in her hesitation. Your truth matters, I tell her, echoing Hannah's words to me, even when it's uncomfortable.